lads. It's the peaky block. We're heading back to the desk. Virtus Pro, Optic Gaming taking to their seats, and this grand final's about to go down.
Thank you very much, Alex. Yes, the teams are ready. It's those bleeding peaky blinders. Yeah, I don't know if that's what Optic will be saying at the end of this game, but we've got a best of 5 ahead of us, Alan. It's a long road, takes time, takes patience, of course, but Virtus Pro know exactly how to win best of 5s.
Yeah, they do. I think they know how to win just about anything at this point. If you look back, we have these lane classifiers. Tells you how a team did in the lane. You look back at all of their matches at ESL 1 Birmingham. They have, according to the stats, lost one lane, and it was the Omni Bane dual lane against Pain yesterday. And by the way, I looked at that game, and in fact, it was Pasha's Omni Knight was ahead of HFN's Gyrocopter and CS.
I think there's probably, one of you two would probably argue with the fact that even
these guys, unbelievable.
I don't really remember them losing that lane.
Yeah.
No.
Stats are lying to me right now. I know.
Yeah, stats do lie sometimes, Alan, it seems. Kevin, what would you like to see Optic come out with for Game 1? Because we know that these things have a meta of their own. They develop as the best of 5 goes along. So how do Optic open up, and how important is it for them?
Well, opening-wise, I think they have to start off with strong lanes. Ideally, I think having a Bane, if they get second pick, for example, get 2 picks initially, I think grabbing a Bane in there would be good. I don't necessarily want them to first pick that, but something that's going to be really strong off the bat laning. It's going to be good mid-game, it's going to be good late game, and then just try to adapt and get a good laning matchup against what VP has.
Is it better first or second pick for PPD in the first game?
Okay, so first pick, Optic, you want to be able to just easily take a nice draft win with your first pick if this ends up being the first game. Second pick is really the test for me for Optic, because it feels like when you have second pick, you're going to get at least 2 of your cores counter or 2 of your lanes, right? And we have already talked about how VP have set themselves up in a situation where they have done both. They've done both, right? Yep. They've mostly focused on the laning phase, but they even had that last pick OD against the Deuce earlier. So I think that second pick is probably the hardest for Optic. So for their sake, they hope they win the coin toss and they get that nice early start where they can get themselves the early pick Leshrac, the Clockwork, the Sand King, you know, the lane dominators that give you some sort of momentum early. Other ones like Bane are obviously very important for them as well.
Okay, Alan, also, we often talk about Radiant or Dire, which side's better, which side's worse, what one.
So Radiant's been better in
Radiant's
this tournament.
Been better, and Virtus Pro have been playing more of it as well.
Right, so Radiant, the big thing is it's most commonly been, I believe, first pick Dire against second pick Radiant. I may have that reversed, but it's 22 and 15 in favor of the Radiant side. I agree with what Cap said. In fact, PPD mentioned it specifically in the post-game interview yesterday that he felt like first pick was key in those drafts against Fnatic, and that he felt fortunate that they won the first pick coin toss ahead of Game 3. I think the big thing is Optic are more than likely going to take a core in the first phase. It's probably going to be one of Leshrac, Death Prophet, Gyrocopter, maybe outside chance of the Dragon Knight. If they get the Gyrocopter, they can't let Virtus Pro have that Bane Omni combo.
Yep, it's been a key combination for them so far. In terms of Virtus Pro, Cap, presumably there's, you know, they've got so many drafts up their sleeve here, it doesn't really matter too much to them how Optic start out.
Yeah, I think one of the dangerous things about VP is that they're willing to show one big core right away, and that they have the, I guess in some terms, flexibility. I think the Leshrac is perfect for them because they can pick a different core to enable that, and if Leshrac does get counterpicked, then they just switch to a different sort of very strong core. So like they had their Leshrac counter one time when they had first pick, and they switched over to a second pick Beastmaster, which just, again, establishes kind of a big threat that they're not too worried about really losing out, because it's the supports that actually enable that core when it comes to the laning phase, right? Like we have a lot of offlaners that can do work, but it's about the 5 or 4 position that sits next to it in that offlane that is more important when it comes to winning that laning phase.
And the scary thing about VP is they'll just come out of nowhere with these game plans. I mean, they opened Death Prophet Chen in 2 straight games against Optic earlier in this tournament. Not an open that they'd used in quite some time, and it just looked, it was one of the few times that Peters kind of looked like he was caught off balance going into that second phase of the draft.
Yeah, right. I was going to ask you as well. Sorry, Ken, I'll come back to you. But is he going to get caught out? Because he doesn't often, does he?
I don't think so. I think we've seen a lot of tape on Virtus Pro, not just in this tournament, but in the weeks leading up to this. We've seen that they can be beaten. It's just not easy to do.
Okay, Kevin, what were you going to say?
Yeah, the overwhelming advantage from them just being better is going to make drafting against them so much harder as well, because I think Peter... Peter luckily is a capable enough player that he's able to dissect why they lost, most likely. But I think if you're already at a match disadvantage and you have to worry about these like weird openers that nobody else is doing, you have to figure out what is truly the best in the meta. How does it fit into the back and forth of the draft, and can you play against it and adjust between series? Luckily, it's a best of 5 though, so even if they don't win the coin flip, there's still enough games without the coin advantage coming into play where they can hopefully figure it out and come back really strong and maybe even win.
Yep. Battlegrounds, in terms of heroes that might be contested, Sanking is the most played in the last 3 months for both teams, so presumably that's in the mix.
Yeah, I kind of expect Sand King to just be one of those 3 bans to start out. I think maybe we test giving out the Leshrac.
Early.
Yeah, just early. It's so dangerous against VP, though,
Yeah.
just because they're so successful with being able to run it support, and then you have to fear the Omni Knight pickup that will enable a core Leshrac as well.
Is there an element of if we do that early and we lose with it, it's kind of demoralizing? Where do we go after that?
Yeah, I think so. There's certainly like a lot of Optic heroes that it's more of the later picks, right? It's the 33, especially if they're second pick and they have to utilize the very last pick of the draft to be able to change the draft to their favor. That's where I think the 33 picks come in, and because I think they're the biggest game changers. I feel like most of the carries don't actually, because most carries, they're either hard enough that they counter pick something, but they're going to be a bit too slow. I heard a balloon pop. I know what that was.
Oh, come on.
Someone picked a DK somewhere. Somewhere in the world, someone just played a Dragon Knight.
I agree that Sand King's like the big support though, just because of his, if he's paired with a good offlane hero especially, it can facilitate winning the lane and also transition to late game and mid game really well, which is, stuns are like the best way to come back into the game. See a mistake, stun them, followed up with another stun, guarantee kills.
And just before we get into draft, because it is moments away, we haven't spoken. The out there picks. The Brood.
The Brood is definitely a factor.
It's definitely going to be a factor, and potentially, don't say this lightly, and I'm not saying it to pander the crowd, but there is a potential for a techies in here at some point.
Yeah.
Everyone has such short memories. You all have such short memories.
Oh, I remember
Everyone's
TI5.
cheering for techies now.
Hey, look, if any captain's going to pull one out in a grand final, it's PPD.
It's Peter.
Yeah.
But we shall find out. Maybe not in the first game. Let's not get too carried away.
There's a high chance that if VP's up like 2-0, they're going to do some weird
So
stuff.
right away,
That's more common.
right away, good game plan here by Optic. You have to choose when you're facing Virtus Pro whether you want to play against that Chen. They faced it twice. They don't want to see it again. And taking away the Bane makes me wonder if they are going to first phase that Gyro.
Yeah, when you brought up the Chen, I didn't think about it, but once you did, I was like, that hero is just like too hard to be able to deal with, right?
Yeah, the way they run it.
It could just win lane straight up. It doesn't actually sometimes matter if you have the right supports to counter it. It just can win. So better to take it out of the pool. I think it's too much of an X factor.
Here we go then. First pick of the grand final. It's Optics, and they go for the Lesh. So that was the risk. If we pick it first and we play it first game and we win with it, great. It gives Virtus Pro some questions.
Snap pick DP Sand King. Absolutely no surprise by Virtus Pro. You know, you kind of knew if Optic took the Lesh, it was going to be probably either the Gyro or the DP, and then the Sand King the other.
Sand King +1.
I like the fact that they banned away the Clockwork and Night Stalker while leaving the Lesh out, because it just means the Sand King, like there's only Tusk that's a good 4 position to protect the Leshrac.
It's good though. No, you have to do this as Optic. I know the crowd do not want to see another Dragon Knight, but this is exactly what you need. You right now, you don't know whether the Leshrac is going to be core support. You don't know whether the DK is going to be mid, or you've seen them shove CC on that hero into a side lane. You've seen them run Pycat on that in the safe lane. I actually think this is the way to go.
See, pick a Dragon Knight, kill a balloon.
Not the biggest fan of Dragon Knight going into the mid game though. Like laning stage, he's definitely self-sufficient, but once Spirit Siphon starts eating a lot of health away from him, it causes a big problem until you get the BKB up. And then in the ultra late game, it works okay, but also not amazing against Death Prophet.
You know, as much as we talk about 33 and how he's these game-changing picks, and I think that's why Optic oftentimes like to be able to leave his pick until at least the second phase, if not the very last one. But it does mean that CCNC is stuck in this role where he has to be the one who basically gets a pick that can't really be messed with, but also doesn't have a whole lot of flair to it, right? Whereas on the other side, Virtus Pro, they can do it for every single one of their cores. They've done it in the past with Ramses, where they just won to a Terrorblade, and then that enables both No One as well as Pasha later. And then in this tournament, they've been just going, hey, we'll go pick up a Doom, we'll pick up a Beastmaster for Pasha. That's our big threat. It feels like Optic are a little bit more limited in that regard because somehow 33 is such a weapon. It's both. I feel like it's almost a double-edged sword when it comes to draft.
Well, I have seen them. You will see them though at the end of the draft turn around and go for something like a CC&C Lena. That's kind of the one big flashy hero that I feel is he plays at that super elite level. Yeah, I'm down for that. Unfortunately, neither of these two teams really an Invoker team.
Yeah, you guys don't want to see Quinn's Invoker, guys.
Oh, Jesus.
So with both Beastmaster and Doomband, basically Sand King needs to pair with an offlane hero that's just really strong on himself. That way it can make him better, because as a support by himself, he's good, but he doesn't win the lanes as hard as somebody like a Bane or other great trading heroes. So with all these bans being gone, it might be a little weird for VP to grab a pairing.
Yeah, shout out to Nick if you're watching at the hospital.
We love you, man. So VP being second pick do get this ban into pick to start the second phase. Probably thinking about their second support, something like a Disruptor, maybe on the radar, maybe even a Warlock.
Singing Shadow Demon as well, just because it counters the Yules on Death Prophet, but they ban it out. So Disruptor themselves would give them the ability to force Optic into taking team fights when they don't necessarily want to, until they get BKBs at least. So usually you see a pairing with a Vision hero, but Night Stalker's banned, Beastmaster's banned.
Now, as Optic, you have to show support. They've favored the Jakiro recently. In spots like this, also the Rubik is still available.
Yeah, I think that might be beyond Dice Frog. Nerfing VP is pretty tough.
Yep. Also, pick that Optic haven't shown recently, but they've gone to a lot in the patches before this, has been the Witch Doctor.
Yeah.
Just not the biggest fan. I think he's phased out a little bit too much.
Since the Maledict nerf, right?
Yeah, and he's already really vulnerable in lane, and he's got the projectile stun, and like a lot of late game situations, even if you're behind, Witch Doctor just feels really useless, unless you can get a Maledict off on a hero at the start of the fight. So just feels a little bit too weak in lane to me.
A lot better at being able to contest solo offlaners, because you can put offensive pressure on him, right? But when you're in the middle of a 2v2 scenario, you're waiting for that Maledict to do its work. It's like, well, you've already lost the fight by that point.
I played a lot of Rubik. Oh, there you go.
Yep, there's the Rubik. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking about. I think that's probably going to be in the hands of Zai, but PPD has played it. So again, the flex value of that Leshrac is still on the table, even after showing the Rubik.
And they're really trying to leave open this Leshrac potentially being side lane, right?
Yep.
And same kind of goes
that's
with
the key to the draft.
They're finally going to get a reveal out of Virtus Pro. Again, this is the advantage of the first pick, is that you're going to be able to see at least 2 cores before you have to show your 2.
They have a great stun lineup right now too. It didn't really like scream out to me seeing the first 3 picks, but they combo well against enemy heroes. And once they actually grab somebody in a team fight, it's going to be chain stuns all the way. I guess they need mobility items to maybe fully punish against that, but.
So we're looking at like a Viper, maybe a Lifestealer. Troll. They could also show Luna here. I don't necessarily, maybe something that you can hold till 5th if you're looking that direction.
I'm guessing it's weird there's been no Gyro or Luna ban so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like which is going to be more open for you in the regards of VP, and I think it's your safe lane, Gyro, Luna, Lifestealer sort of heroes that are just good team fight and always can kind of fight and give the edge to Pasha. But then I look at the remaining offlaners, I'm not so certain that actually...
Well, that's why I say I think you throw a hero like, oh, that's not what I thought. Wow.
All right, so we now switch to...
Oh, gosh.
Be an SK offlane.
Oh, God, that aggro dueling is actually nuts.
With an option to, if Optic runs some sort of core Leshrac, I think they could actually do Sky Core, but we're definitely going Sand King, like 90% Sand King Core. And they're just going to have this really strong aggro dual lane, which we saw so much at Epicenter. Any sort of Axe +1, Axe Sky was very common.
You know the pick that LGD has shown against the Skywrath Mage is the Pugna. Can you fit a Pugna into this lineup as Optic? You already have a lot of disable.
I don't think it's as important here. Like the fact that it's a Sand King core, I think, is just a bit of a limiter slightly, because he's good in the lane, but him and Sky don't match up perfectly. Like they have a lot of damage potential, I guess, but like Sand King can't really defend the Sky with as much of a threat as a girl like Axe can, who has a separate disable from his range nuke while also having like spin damage and creep lane.
Yeah,
like Sand King has to have a decent start for him to be good, but if they shut this lane down, I think that's an opening for Optic.
I agree. I think an Optic played the trump card a little early because, again, the value of fourth picking relative to fifth pick is higher when you're first pick overall because you're not going to have that last overall pick. And I think it's fine to show that Visage as a fourth pick in this situation. So if you had to guess, Cap, you think you take an offlaner fifth as Optic? Or you think you go back for your second support?
I mean, it's hard to read their draft right now.
Exactly. This is what they had to do against VP, or the VP lanes were just going to eat them alive. Now, they still might.
The 4 positions that can change something, like a saving hero for the Leshrac, like Nago or Tusk, are okay,
I like
but...
something like that.
You like what? You like,
I mean, like, VP's heroes are all very defensively weak. They all have super low armor. Visage in this case, like, if Optic has, like, a decent snowball and they don't get super out of position and they have a BKB on, like, the frontliner, then they can actually engage VP fairly straightforward as far as I can see. So, they just need to be able to run at their opponents a little bit. VP has to win the lanes. Like, I think I just like Optic's draft right now. It feels like they can just run at their opponents and VP can't stop it very
Do you like a support here, or do you like something like a Darkseer?
But I think like some kind of a tanky Greaves hero might work, and it might just be...
Oh, God, okay. That's a heck of a gamble.
I think it's good, though. Again, VP's disabled. They've got, like, Static Storm combo, they've got Sky combo, and they've got, like, Burrow Strike Epi. That's their initiation. That's, like, 3 support impacts that are usually used to pick off, like, 1 hero in a team fight. Yes, if they initiate, it could be great, but if Optic just gets kind of evasive and deathball-y and tanky when they take these fights, I feel like they can outplay VP's draft with the heroes they have.
But you think PL is going to be there in time, especially he's going to have to sustain a heck of a lot of pressure in lane, right? He's likely going to be laning against that Sand King Skywrath.
Yes, possibly. They could maybe put Lesh there. They could maybe, like, we don't really know what the last VP hero is, so maybe they'll change their lanes in the end, but if he just gets, like, a hood picked up with Shred's Aquila Wand or something, he can actually fight these guys really, really head-on, especially with Doppelganger. Like, the only big issue is, like, Silence, Static Storm, that kind of a thing.
I think VP just goes something like a Sven here, Warcry up, and PL just doesn't do anything for a lot of the game.
They have so many stunts, he's getting fighted. I don't think Sven works. And he'd have to, again, he's a hero that has to jungle quite a bit, whereas Optic's gonna be moving around constantly with Visage Bats and Dragonite and Leshrac. They have so many pushing heroes that, like, PL can basically just be the survivable guy that lanes and pushes creep waves while his team is busy, eventually transitions into items that they just can't deal with because they have 3 support-like heroes.
They don't have, like, a ton of actual initiation from Optic. If you really want to enable, like, you could do, like, some sort of Void type pick, because look at the way your lineup follows that up really well.
They've done it. They've done it in the past. I think Void is right. There's the Sven. I really thought they were going to go that direction.
Very good against PL.
I think that's a great core matchup for Big Game themselves.
It is.
But both sides vulnerable to pressure in lane. This is the kind of draft Optic needed.
Only the second Sven of ESL 1 Birmingham, and it comes in our first game of the grand final. Gents, prediction time. Alan.
Oh, God. I think Optic have given themselves a chance in the draft, and I'm going to roll the dice. Optic.
Kevin.
I'm going to confidently say Optic, no roll of the dice.
I think Phantom Hunter is actually a good pick. I think like Sky has a problem with the landing phase issue, but I'm still going to go VP.
Okay, 1 for VP and 2 for Optic as far as our analysts are concerned. Ladies and gentlemen, the road of the grand final starts here, and also the chase for the MVP by Mercedes-Benz as well. Game 1 is about to begin.
This is it, ladies and gentlemen. The grand finals here at ESL 1 Birmingham 2018. Optic Gaming going up against Virtus Pro. I'm ODPixel. I am going to be joined by Fogged for this best of 5 between these two. Fogged, this is going to be a fantastic series, and already we're seeing a bit of fun off the draft. We've got a Sven. This is a hero Lots of teams they're ignoring. VP's picked it up, and there's every reason to be scared of the VP, Sven.
I've talked to so many teams about this here, and people are like, man, you see PL, you see these games, and conceptually, on paper, Sven looks fantastic.
But what's the problem?
But it's a Sven. You're very ulti reliant. You pretty much have to be super far ahead in the game. You have to hit jungle creeps. You have to be able to farm Ancients and get those stacks constantly. Maybe similar to something like that with Dusa or something, but Dusa doesn't have to pop ult to farm those Ancients early on. That's where Sven can get punished. And in the laning phase, Sven's lane presence isn't really the strongest. We'll see if VP can make it go down. I don't even know what I'm most excited for in this game, though. The chat wheel spam, the tips, crazy plays. I don't know.
There's certainly going to be a lot going on, and it's sort of the rest of the draft the VP have. There's some scary sort of hero play combinations. We've got Solo, Disruptor, no on DP. We've seen it do so much. And of course, the last time Optic and VP went against each other, it didn't go too great for Optic.
He's getting pressured a bit here.
Chasing down.
With that Orb of Venom, too.
I'm going to continue for this. Can they finish off the kill? Turn with a quick stun onto Pycat. Pycat now turning his attention towards Solo, but not looking to chase any further. So Solo and Ramses will get themselves away, but we'll see how these lanes do settle off. So at the moment, Pycat taking the PL down to the bottom lane, so we can go up against Solo and Ramses on this Disruptor Sven. Is either of the sides, you feel in your opinion, have they got sort of a really sort of strong lane that's going to make the other team suffer?
Oh, the Lesh PL is probably a little bit stronger. Disruptor, there's going to be like similar spamming kind of things, but I would believe that the PL Lesh have a little bit more power just because of the mana pool of this Lesh. You have the Orb of Venom, you're going to be throwing out a little bit more harassment too, and yeah, just your base mana pool. It's 80 mana cost for Lightning Storm comparison to 130 for the Disruptor. So you should be able to out-efficiency them overall. Top lane, is the pull available? It will be, but Roger actually, or Pasha blocks it right away, so. I do believe the Sand King of Skyraz should be able to apply a decent amount of pressure up here at the start. So Roger has to be careful with his positioning though. And mid is, it's a DK versus DP, so.
We've seen this many, many times before. And we'll see how both Noan and CCNC fare off in this 1v1 matchup. As we can imagine, sort of for the first at least 5 minutes, we're not like to see too many movements from the side lanes, as both teams just having to prioritize securing farm for their side lane cores.
Yep. So this Visage, if Visage gets pretty out of control in this game, which they're setting up 33, and they tend to set up 33 for these type of games when he's playing it, he has a lot of kill options on these very squishy supports. Disruptor and Skywrath do not have fun versus Hero. Solo eating quite a lot of harassment bottom, as we've expected.
Stun, Zai.
He's got the mango too.
He's bringing it down low, looking for Solo. He's going to need a couple more touches and you're not going to get it because Ramses is there with the stun. Zai does have to be careful. He's trapped in by the kinetic field and Ramses, he's going to be able to get it. They turn it around VP and get themselves first blood for Ramses in the safe lane.
Solo had the stick charges saved up. He was kind of baiting Zai in there. Zai oversteps his bounce a bit too much with that creep wave on him.
And so it begins as well. Ramses dropping Zai the tip.
Yep.
First blood. Zai straight back to lane. Same time up top. Two-man Burrow Strike from Pasha coming out to hold back 33 and PPD as they were trying to make a bit of a go onto Roger. Looking at the CS, 33, 6'2". This top lane between both 33 and Pasha, pretty much the lane where the least farming is going on because of how aggressive the two supports are, enabling one another's cause.
It's smart to have the Visage up here. You know, if you have a PL up there, you're going to get constantly harassed by the Caustic, Visage, Rubik, double-ranged heroes. They can distance themselves from that and not eat as much harass. Solo finds himself a regen rune. That's fortunate.
Can stick around. Quickly looks to disrupt the side pull attempt here from Zai.
Look how well
strike.
Look how good CCNC doing mid versus the Death Prophet too.
Yeah, 18 for 4 against no one's 14 for 2.
Yep. Very close matchup.
Top lane 33 though, Pasha. Roger gets in for 1. They may even be able to see if they can look for another. Same time down bottom, Pycat trying to find for Solo. Again, the stun from Ramses holding back Zai. Solo hiding beneath the trees. He's going to be fine. Top lane PPD will go down as Roger gets the final touch. Bottom lane, no one to die. Solo is kept alive. Again, Ramses using these stuns very nicely to disrupt the spell combo that Zai tries to get out.
They're doing a pretty good job bottom. PL still farming, so is Sven. But trading at those resources back and forth. And the pressure, I mean, Sand King, Skyrath. Skyrath still applies a crazy amount in top. Pasha now getting gone on while he's alone.
Yeah, he's got the mango and a Burrow Strike available.
He can distance himself. Will be all right. So now Roger's going to go back to base, pick up another null, and this is where he's got way more mana. They can constantly throw out this harassment. This is the build that we've seen from these Skyraths. You pretty much rush the Veil as quick as you can. You probably skip the boots if you can get it early enough. They have very good benefits too from that Veil. Disruptor, Sand King could really apply a lot of pressure if he gets it at an early time. But this is the Roger that we see a lot of the times. It hits nighttime, and he usually likes to guarantee no one's lane. They try to get him a kill early on.
And as we said, CCNC was getting a little bit ahead in that lane, so if VP can sort of make sure that no one's able to get that advantage once more.
Yeah, I think this is like, I see Roger do this so much though. It's like that form anyway. Sometimes he has a ward too, or Solo passes him a ward. He goes in places and tries to gank Ramses. Jumping a bit low there, the tower. Oh, look at that. Solo drops a branch for him to eat it. Teamwork.
And that is, well, we've still got 2 tangos on Solo, but Ramses himself out of regen.
Yep.
Good to play a little bit careful. Top lane, Pasha. Go on to PPD is Roger. He's headed up back towards the top, looking towards PPD. Telekinesis onto Pasha. Return with a Fade Bolt. Hold back the 2 of them, but still, they get the aggro at the creeps. They're able to pull them around, continue to get that farm for Pasha as they look to sort of chase up with the Sand King. Mid lane, Noah. Forcing CCNC back away from the creep wave with the Siphon.
How'd those bounty runes go? It looked like, what, 3 for VP? 3 bounties for VP.
Still just this early kill advantage, 3 for 0. Optic Gaming still yet to find a kill themselves, despite their best efforts down bottom with this Phantom Lancer Leshrac.
Yeah, for the most part, their top and mid matchups, it's mostly when they hit level 6 when they can make aggressive moves. And speaking of that, CCNC is 6 already now, and PPD trying to close the gap too. Yeah. Got a Fade Bolt, but it's not enough.
Can't quite get close enough. No one will be able to walk himself away. Bottom lane, Ramses. The siege creep now starting to apply a bit more pressure.
33, getting chased up top a bit here. They got the slow, but he's able to tangle his way through. Will be just fine.
Side to TP over as well. See if they can find Roger. Roger did come in deep, looking to see if he could get the wrap around. They'll know he's there as he starts to hit away at the courier. Courier should be fine as they can protect him at the same time. Bit of damage being done mid, as you can see, by the push from the CCNC Dragon Knight. Top, Pasha does come across. PPD's still there, so Optic, they have the numbers. Zai with the burst onto Roger, they'll get it. With the soul assumption from 33, Zai still alive for now. Pasha, can he quite finish this one off? He can't stick around for it, so Zai will live. Optic Gaming themselves, getting a kill.
Good rotation.
And look at the damage being done in the mid lane. CCNC doing a hell of a lot here. Roger is going to come forward, but CCNC, he TP'd straight out, but a great usage there with the Dragon Form and that DD. He nearly takes the entirety of that mid tower.
It's in deny range. They're going to have to deny this for VP.
So at least able to stop the goal going that way, but still, nonetheless, that's a very early timing to take that mid tier 1.
Very well played by CCNC. I mean, winning that mid matchup, also being able to take the tower this early on. His tower is pretty much untouched, only 24 HP missing, and they're looking to stay active on Optic too. They want to go bottom, to try to punish this Ramses Sven. They don't want him to get a good start, and he's doing pretty damn well bottom. Doing the farm pretty nicely.
Roger will show himself towards mid. CCNC lets him know that he's aware that he's there.
Oh, Solo walks right by them.
See PPD starting to play around Zai. Can he quite close the gap? He does get the lightning slow. Solo pops the kinetic field down to trap them back. They can't continue to chase. No one also heads over as well. Peter will get the ward down. It's his time, but they are sort of drawing no one's attention away from that mid lane. No one is hunting, but PPD's high. Solo, stunned from Zai, is going to miss him, but Solo's incredibly low here. It's going to just get zapped down by PPD. Roger and Ramses there coming across, though, to put a stop to Optic's presence in their jungle. As they will take Zai, so the support for support trade.
Important that Optic gets this early ward down so they can watch those ancient stacks. As you see, Roger's probably going to go start those stacks for the Sven early on, so they'll be able to contest those if they would like to. And with Visage and Dragon Knight, they could have options to actually pierce through and take fights around that ancient area. They just have to watch out about Death Prophet. That's the big thing. Watch out for DP ulti and Disruptor ulti, because those type of choke points are pretty scary. Roger.
It's been founded. They've got a lot of burst between the 2 of them. It'll slow down PPD. There is an invis room, but Zai denies it. Doesn't look like they'll get the kill, though, because no one. He's coming forward. Quick Ancient Seal onto Zai. Pycat does manage to finish off Roger. Comes in with a quick Spirit Lance. Can they chase for more again? Solo, he's there with the kinetic field. Pycat. Doppelganger himself away and does have the backup of his teammates to make sure he's fine. But Optic starting to react and starting to get some kills themselves out of these plays.
Lots of moves around the map already. Pasha up top with 33. He's got Epi, but there's birds on the side. The stuns are not available, though.
He's already used them. So 33's got no way to stop the epicenter as Pasha's just able to walk in and take the kill.
Okay, this time Roger moving up top at the perfect time, knowing that those bird stuns will cool down. He looks like he's going actually Atos on Roger. So instead of rushing that Veil, he's got the double no, but the double no, double bracer build on Sky.
Ramsey's farm down bottom, still looking very, very good on this Sven. He's top net worth.
Yep.
Despite that pressure that was being attempted to be applied by Optic with the Pycat PL and the Zai Leshrak. Top lane, Roger again, pretty deep Zai. He's got the setup, allowing 33 to close the gap, and that'll be Roger caught out.
Optic making the move down bottom. They want to try to get Ramses here.
See if they can close the gap. Pycat looking for that Spirit Lance. He's got the rush forward. Ramsey's going into the trees, and TP's are heading down here. They really want to try for this because Ramsey, he's going to look to turn. He's got the God Strength, just starts hitting into Pycat and Optic. They dove a little too far.
I knew that tip was coming right there. When you doppeled in that aggressively, I was expecting some TP rotations. No one does make the move. Now with that exorcism, they're going to try to threaten the tower themselves. CCNC staying near the area, 33 out. Also able to now pressure up top a bit here. So VP will have to respond up there. And it looks like VP, instead of even going for even tower pressure, they prioritize bounty runes. No one goes there with the exorcism just to make sure his team gets it. And four bounties. So far, 7 bounty runes collected for VP in the last 10 minutes.
I mean, it's adding up as we can see 10 minutes in. It's a 2 to 3K lead for VP.
Pasha almost has Blink Dagger finished on this Sanking already. That's going to be really crucial because they didn't really have the vision that we usually see for the Disruptor to get those glimpses off constantly. So now they're going to have an early Blink Dagger on Sanking. So they're going to be able to look for trying to get those chases and kills. Optic making the move down bottom with that DK. They will be able to get their own tower pressure. So they are putting more objective pressure on the side of Optic while VP is just securing the lanes. And I mean, they're in a comfortable spot with this 2K lead. And they have those ancient stacks already, as we were touching on, for the Sven, and Ramses will begin them already.
Picks up the Mask of Madness. He's ready to farm them very quickly. But as we also mentioned, there is that vision around there. So we'll see if Optic Gaming are able to do anything to disrupt it. Top lane, coming in onto 33. They have the Ancient Seal. He's going to look to stun back to them with the Familiars, but Ramses is there. 33 tries to TP out. He's not going to make it the damage. Too much there from Ramses.
They want the birds.
And with that strike, they'll get one of them.
Get one, yep.
Pasha setting up for that, and with Ramses coming up here, they themselves can try for this tier 1 tower. So pushing top.
Look how they prioritize. They really want to make sure that they're not falling so far behind in buildings. They're trying to match the aggression. So he tries to stack the Ancients, but right away TP's top because he's like, I want to be involved. You need to start putting pressure on because we don't want to fall behind in towers too much this game. You look at Optic's draft, and they are all about hitting towers.
Pasha sort of playing around with Pycat. That Pycat was trying to dive for the kill, but of course Pasha with the Sandstorm.
Trying to get the glimpse.
Was always going to be fine.
Doppel still, so they're trying to bait the Doppel out.
Can he get his way out of this one? He's going to jump forward. Solo, can he get the right one? Yes, he can. He's got the correct target. He'll try and Phantom Rush himself away, but Roger's there with a Mystic Flare as Pycat punished for going a little too far out on that bottom lane, trying to play around with Pasha, but Pasha just willingly baits him in.
Yep, and the nice small little interaction there is, Spirit Siphon continues even if you Doppel, so they knew exactly which one was that real one. And playing the PL in this game, you look at it, sure, there's some AoE amounts. He could have a decent game, but one thing you can't really overlook is Skyrath's silence versus PL. He's not going to have a Manta or anything for a long, long time. So that silence, if he can find the real one, you can't get rid of it.
He doesn't really have heroes around him that have any sort of save. There's nothing sort of innate that they can do to keep heroes off him. Sure, like the familiar stuns and such are nice, but in terms of sort of a reliable safety mechanism from Optic Gaming, it's not there for Pycat's PL.
Yep. Ramses cleans up those Ancients while no one is hitting the mid tower. Pretty much has it finished down now.
PPD, he's hanging around here, but he could be in a lot of trouble. Silence for no one catches him. They get a glimpse back as well as PPD will be taken away as VP are able to secure that last hit onto the tier 1 tower mid. Same time top, CCNC and 33 pushing on. Pasha, he'll leave this one. The rest of the team not going to come in, so Optic will find the trade.
CCNC is playing super objective. Like, he has gone to all 3 lanes by the 13-minute mark and hit all those towers, taking them out nice and early on. Going to be rushing that Blink Dagger so they have their own form of initiation because they don't have that on Optic. That's what they're lacking because they didn't pick that. They don't pick these standard offlaners a lot of the time. They've got a Visage and a PL and a Dragon Knight. So DK, he has to be the initiator in this game.
And over they go, under the cover of smoke. Ready to make the play with the Exorcism. CCNC, he's going to be found out here. There's the first silence from the Ancient Seal. Kinetic Field's down as well as the Mystic Flare. It's just so much magical damage. CCNC will fall. 33 comes across. Maybe able to take down Roger in return. And he has the army moving in. Static Storms drop down. There's Pasha in with the Burrow Strike. Percent. They just smelt. Double kill for no one. There's 3 dead on Optic Gaming, as PPD and Pycat can only stand at the sidelines and watch.
And during all this, Ramses is just like, hey guys, I'm farming down bottom, level 11.
It's a free farm in Sven.
It's 5K gold advantage. The movements by VP are just perfect in response, getting all these like early bounty runes. Look at their wards too in this game. Look how deep they placed them so early on. I don't even know when the hell they did that one.
Absolutely, I mean, this team, we saw them during the draft and coming on, they just look so confident. The smiles amongst them coming into this series. VP is such a terrifying team to play against, and we're seeing why already in these opening 14 minutes of this best of 5 grand finals. A significant lead and making play after play that is certainly showing why they are the best in the world.
Yeah, it's really remarkable how fast they collapse and outnumber you. And now top, Peter, GPD tries to defend this tower, quick stun, quick kill for no one. Yeah, it seems like every single time, even on the opposite side of the map, Optic's like, oh, we've got 3, and VP's like, well, we've got 4. You gotta bring more. But they are playing the very objective route, like we were saying. Even 33 now makes his way toward bottom. He wants to sit behind the PL, try to pressure those lanes. Now CCNC, Optic's getting at least a couple of these bounties this time around.
So what's Optic's sort of best hope in terms of coming back into this after a sort of tough laning stage? Do we need to see them go for some more aggressive smoke plays in order to try and find these pickoffs, try and punish the fact that Ramses is getting the chance to be alone and farming on the Sven?
They have to play pretty much as 4. I think Pycat has to play as this farmer this game, and his team needs to make tons of plays with 33, just like this. They need to be piercing like the back lines, killing these supports easily and picking them off.
They've got one there with Roger.
They've got the Blink Dagger now as well on CCNC, so this could be one where they look to make constant plays and make that space for Pycat, but they are falling pretty far behind. This Sven is almost 3K ahead of Phantom Lancer, and that is definitely not where you want to be on a PL versus Sven in the matchup.
Ramses, Mask of Madness, SMY. The level 12, he's got that second point in the God Strength.
We don't even have a Yasha.
16 minutes in.
Not even a Yasha finished up for Pycat yet.
I mean, this Sven is just going to be able to cut through them all, and of course the War Cry is going to be so nice for sort of keeping heroes alive on VP's lineup against Pycat, maybe trying to find that support in the backlines. There's going to be the chance for Ramses to keep his team safe.
All of Optic. Poised bottom. They get the glimpse on PPD.
He's in trouble. Once again, quick glimpse back and a burst from no one.
Just solo things, right? Always being in the right place at the right time to find those pickups when he's playing Disruptor.
Yeah, over the years, Solo's Disruptor has arguably been the best in the game.
Yeah, and Pain, honestly, when Duster was playing that Disruptor, he was playing it very similar to Solo style. Just always be in the right place. Your life doesn't matter so much. Like, look how you see how Solo's leading the charge and trying to find those instances. He's just trying to find any type of pickup because they also know they're in a pretty commanding position right now with this lead.
And look, he's just found another glimpse. He's going to be able to get onto the Visage. They've dropped the Static Storm down. Zai's also trapped in here. Exorcism comes out. Zion 33 is in so much trouble. They'll fall. And PPD used up. He's in trouble as well. VP collapse around the Rubik. Take another. I mean, just as we were saying, you know, Solo just sets it all up, goes in, gets the glimpse, and bam, the rest of VP, they are just so perfect as a unit. They're ready to follow in,
and that's also
take one by one down on Optic.
Yeah, the wards that they placed from earlier, right? They had that high ground vision there, so Solo, he knows he's playing very confident. He has the information of Optic pretty much completely, and he's just like, all right, which one do I want to glimpse? I kind of can pick and choose. How do you, it's the perfect target.
How do you play against a team like this? It's, man. How do you, everything that VP are doing is just done to perfection.
Yep. It is seeming very difficult. Optic now very far behind his 10K gold advantage.
Look,
I mean, 10K experience as well.
Look how far both Ramses and No One are. They are so far ahead right now. Ramses, once he gets the BKB, he's absolutely invincible.
Yeah. Look, he's not even
getting already down bottom. Again, Optic, they're sort of split up around the map. Star gets caught out again. The glimpse. CCC gets a nice blink cap.
Nice.
We'll give him a little clap for that one.
But, you know, they put this safe lane Visage, and we've seen 33, what he can do on this Visage. He absolutely can pop off. But in this game, you see how much VP focused on him. He's got 5 deaths, which is pretty different for when Optic's playing this hero. Usually it's him just having a very calm kind of game. Either he's like 10-1 or he's like 3-1 with tons of building damage. But they're focusing killing this Visage over and over again. Because I don't think they're afraid, to be honest, of the Phantom Lancer. They drafted this Sven to deal with the PL. They're like, all we need to really worry about is this Visage not taking too many buildings, going out of control, and they've done that.
Look who's being hunted up top. Pasha with the epicenter straight in onto Pasha. Power stroke onto him. Rotobates on the Ancient Seal to hold him down. Pycat just wiped off the map. And I mean, Ramses is having a great time playing against the neutrals and creeps. His team's got 19 kills. He's 2-0-1. He's not having to do anything.
170 last.
He's chilling. He's just hitting the creeps. He's going to be there if they do struggle as the game goes on, VP. But at the moment, it doesn't look like that's going to happen.
It's starting to become very natural for VP to literally just like take over, just snowball out of control on this one. They're all playing very aggressively. You look at Optic, they are kind of stuck right now. It looks like they just need to make some smoke plays to try to catch back up in this one because it's just becoming worse and worse and worse, giving up kills.
Let's see where they look to head next. Optic Gaming, but they're 11,000 gold behind at just 19 minutes in. They are grouped up.
They're just going in the Roche pit. They've got Exorcism, they've got God's Strength. They want to take a fight around here.
It will be scanned out. So Optic, they're aware, and they immediately go for the smoke play, but it's a hard area to fight in.
Let's see if they can make this happen. They have vision of Solo on the high ground here. They could maybe try for something.
No one's got a full Solo crest, so he's incredibly tanky on this TP. They will find indeed Solo on the side. They are committing straight onto it, but the Roshan's already been taken down. Ramses gets the Aegis. Now the rest of VP coming. Pasha force forward, jumps forward with the Blink Burrow strike, gets two of them. On the side, Ancient Seal down onto BPD. That's the Rubik gone. VP, they're chasing down for more. They look towards 33. 33 surrounded. Will get the familiar stuns off, but the damage from Ramses is too much. Double kill for Roger. There's two dead on Optic. CCNC trying for the TP out. Will he make it? He won't. The stuns back online for Ramses. He's caught out. 3 dead on Optic Gaming. No one now godlike.
9-0 and 7 on Death Prophet. He's got all the items that you want as a Death Prophet when you're when you don't want to buy that BKB too early. He's got everything. He's got Hood, Solar Crest, Duels, just an absolutely flawless game coming up.
It's not just the DP. Ramses 2-0-4. No one 9-0-7. Pasha 1-0-15. None of the cores on VP have died this game.
Kirsch Pasha, they're gonna try going on him.
They're trying. Is this gonna be the... No, he's got...
4-step stun up.
He's out of there.
And he's gone.
Having a force and a blinker 20 minutes in on that Sand King will do that. He can slide around them as much as he wants.
And that was Optic. They killed the Disruptor at the start of the fight. God's Strength had worn out. They still had some of the Exorcism though, so they start collapsing on top of them. Look at Zai and Pycat on the bottom right of the fight there. They can't even get involved. They're starting to walk in, and then Pycat's like, I'm gonna throw a Lance, and then see ya. Nothing he can do to walk into that. It's just too much damage, and his hero's just not ready to fight. He's going for the SNY build and trying to be tanky, but look at this. Roger's gonna...
Is it a solo kill?
Is it a solo kill? It's a solo kill by Roger.
And he's out. The all chat's coming out on that one. Absolutely. Pasha dropping a couple of Lacan Matatargs on him. And the tip as well. I mean, on the plus side, Optic, they might have got another chest unlocked after this game, after the series. You know, they might have got a few Trust of the Benefactors as well.
Yeah. Brutal so far, and the full BKB now. Also for Ramses, I mean, it's 14k lead. They're not giving up any kills. When was the last time they actually got one? It was, okay, yeah, they did get Solo,
they did get Solo.
They got Solo and then Roger at the 17-minute mark, but it's been a while. They're not giving any of these opportunities, VP.
And those kills on the supports, they pretty much mean nothing.
Yeah, they're not worth that much at all, especially when VP can get the Roche, and now they've got God Strength, they've got BKB, they've got Exorcism, they've got all the tools to try to pressure this high ground. It's a 15k gold advantage.
Oh, and here we go. Ramses is heading over. Again, they've got the glimpse onto Zai. Epicenter's going to be coming in as they look to find the lockdown onto Shrek, and they've got it. Zai's gone. Exorcism out, as they are more than ready to push in on the bottom lane. What can Optic do to stop this sort of a push? At this stage of the game, 22 minutes in, VP coming in hard on this bottom lane. The fortification will be popped. But what can Optic do with the ghosts out? Warcry's there available for Sven as well as the BKB. CCNC tried to jump on, but straight away with the reaction from Pasha. Immediately with the burst strike, CCNC's just gone. 33 tries to back up. He gets glimpsed back. Solo with the control. This is a double kill for no one. There'll be a buyback on CCNC. He's trying to get back into this. The VP, they'll just calmly, casually back out. They'll go in whenever they want to. They can do whatever they want in this stage of the game. It's 17k lead.
They're slinging themselves. That's playing. That's playing to win.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. This is quite remarkable to see from VP. Not necessarily unexpected. There was sort of worries if VP were going to be able to do this against Optic. Sure, this is just one game at the best of 5, but this is game 1. It's a very hard-hitting way for Optic to enter into this grand finals.
And it's Optic getting their Leshrac, getting their Visage. Sure, this time it wasn't a Leshrac core, but they got heroes that they've been playing over and over again throughout all of this in VP.
But on the plus side, that might mean if this game does indeed continue to be in VP's hands, that we might see them change up stuff. We might not see any more Dragon Knights, so that could be nice, you know. There sort of should be the off-put of drafting that one again. But we'll see. There's still time left in the game. The game still is going. They did manage to keep their racks alive down bottom.
They did. It was a buyback from CCNC.
Sure.
Still quite costly. I mean, they don't really have a whole lot of gold to be working with anyway. I mean, Roger is on CCNC's tail. He's 100 gold away from him on the Skywrath.
Sort of, yeah, because of the way the game's been going as well. Pycat getting the S and Y before anything like a defusal. So, sure, he's got a little bit more survivability, but there isn't sort of that damage that allows the PL to just overrun the supports in these fights. The physical damage is just not really there for Optic Gaming, and they're going to need it because there's a BKB now on no one as well as Ramses.
And we saw this Warcry playing a big factor in this.
It's a lot of armor.
It's a lot of armor when Visage tries to go in and pop. It's like, sure, the Sven is incredibly good versus PL, but Visage too. You try to use your familiars, and everybody just kind of stands in it with plus 20 armor.
Here we go. The cooldowns are available again for VP.
Level 18 Sven. No one is, okay, 17. Aegis gets reclaimed, but they've got the Blink Dagger now too on Ramses, so double initiation.
And in they go. There's some racks. There's nobody here. So they'll just start hitting them. And Optic, I mean, they know that they can't really hold this. They're not even going to try. They're not even going to turn up for this.
Pycat's contesting the T2 top, but they just, I think they're just recognizing that they cannot fight into Exorcism. They can't fight into Exorcism, God Strength. It's far too much. And the Rex is left at 28 HP.
All right.
Okay, now he gets it.
There we go. No one casually just going back in to finish that off.
Yeah, he thought the Ghosts were going to get it. Optic, though, you can see how much pressure they're under, though. They're not even trying to make these aggressive plays now. They're just trying to split up the map and get as much as they can because of how big a deficit. I mean, 18K, 25 minutes is pretty ridiculous. It's also, you know, 18K, you usually, when you do see that, you usually look at the experience and it's not as much. But in this game, it's also 20,000 experience lead.
Yeah, this is just no messing around from Virtus Pro.
I mean, look at Solo. This is the Solo that we see when he's winning the game. 5 salves. He's ready to go for that high ground and just keep everybody topped off.
Still got that tier 2 to take up top and in the lane for VP. So we'll see where they'll head off to next. In terms of the itemization, Pycat is trying to get that Shadow Blade online.
He's trying to get to the back lines of the fight to kill these supports, kill the Disruptor of the Skywrath right away, and then try to outnumber. That's like the only way that Optic can even have a chance, is just starting this fight with an advantage in numbers, but VP's just not giving them the chances at all. Their lanes are in great position, of course, because they've got a Rax bottom now too. Ramses is just freely pushing out top because he's got no risk of dying when he's got this BKB.
He really is absolutely massive. 17,000 net worth. Yeah. This is, I mean, they are absolutely showing us that Sven, he can work. I mean, sure, it's in the hands of VP. So, you know, I'm sure Ramses can convince us a lot of heroes can work. Yeah, he's making the Sven look very, very good.
They ran into the group stages too.
Yeah,
and they did make it work.
Yeah. And it always was, it's sort of in the past. We know that Ramses, his Sven has always been one of the strongest in CIS.
Yep, and on paper, like you're saying, like on paper, the hero can be very good, and he's been executing it perfectly. Like we said, 0 deaths on the cores of VP, so it's gonna make your Sven life pretty good. How long for that Roche? 20 seconds till we find out. Optic, they have fully pushed out that bottom wave all the way to VP's base, so that's a well-executed lane push coming out from Optic. And they're just trying to buy time. They're just trying to farm up. They know they're just way weaker. And now I believe it's very close to level 18 coming out for no one.
They know he's there.
They know.
Yeah, no one was spam pinging that. It's like there's someone hiding in the trees. And indeed they know. They're straight in.
Did they see the auras? I think they saw the auras on the creeps. I think maybe it was the pipe aura or the dominator aura from the tree lines, because I don't believe they threw a scan afterwards, but...
And at the same time, Ramses finds Zai.
Yeah, now he jumps on the high ground by himself.
Straight in. He's untouchable. He absolutely is. There's nothing they can do about this Sven. There's nothing they can do pretty much about any of the cores on VP's lineup at the moment. As we've seen for the whole game, they just can't kill them.
Level 3 Exorcism. No one even instantly uses a Crypt Swarm. Make sure he covers that Exorcism. Maybe that could have been the way that PPD gets back to steal that, but...
Trying to head in. Stun from Zai will not catch anybody on VP as they're able to juke it to the side. No one just standing his ground. He's got the BKB, he's got the Yule set for the Solar Crest, lots of things to keep him alive. CCNC will try and open onto him, but there's Pasha coming in with the combo. Ramsey's there with a tag team. Optic Gaming lose 2. Straight away, they're gonna lose Pie-Cap potentially as well. He's trying to find Roger, but Roger can just turn and beat him down with the magical burst.
They're gonna call it, yeah.
They absolutely are. GG is called. Game 1. Woo. It was not close at all. This was VP turning up in style and giving it their all here. They are not messing around today. This team, none of the cores dying. No one going 11-0-13, 2-0-21 on Pasha. Ramses as well at the start. He joined in with the fun at the end of it all. 6-0-9. It's very rare you see a game when no cores die. And to happen in a grand finals,
it's
like, this just goes to show how good VP is, not just right now, but how good they've been for a while.
Yeah, look at the kill involvement on everybody. Pasha's got 21 assists, Solo 20 assists as well. They ran around as a unit and just completely smashed Optic. Honestly, this was, wow, this was painful.
And as you say, we've seen this for the second time between these two teams here at this LAN.
Yes, the other game I believe was pretty similar actually. I think it was maybe even the same score.
It was close.
They're gonna have to make some big adjustments.
They absolutely are. They've got to change it up. They can't do anything along these lines against VP, and it's got to be scary for Optic knowing that VP will slide in things like the Sven. Sure, we've seen it once before. We know that they can do it. What are VP going to do? They could change it up themselves, because it seems that VP just have so many different strategies to beat down their opponents. But what a game 1 for Virtus Pro, absolutely destroying Optic. We'll see if they can come back in game 2. Over to you, Paul. I don't know what you guys are going to say apart from how damn good VP are.
Yeah, you're not wrong, Owen. An absolute masterclass from the team that haven't dropped a single game here at ESL One Birmingham. A masterclass across the board as well. All 5 members of the team just absolutely fantastic. And when it's that good, Alan, you can't help but just stand here and marvel at the brilliance of the team, really.
I mean, Optic, I still feel, gave themselves a chance. They did what they needed to do. Maybe a few minor adjustments in the draft, but even in the early game, they gave themselves a chance. But the great Dota 2 teams all time all have one thing in common, and that's that they take little advantages and turn them into big ones. All of a sudden, PL Doppels under the tier 1 tower, Radiant bottom at 10 minutes in, dies again 2 minutes later, pressuring the tier 2. There's a great play by the Sand King channeling the epicenter on the top lane, recognizing that the Visage Bird Stuns are on cooldown. All of a sudden, a few big plays make a small advantage, and VP just snowballs.
And it turns into that fast blink dagger, which we see in this fight right here, which they just demolish Optic, end up getting a 4 for nothing. It feels like part of the problem is going to be naturally when Optic is behind like this and you have no forms of initiation. The enemy team has not just 1, but actually 2. The Sand King later on, the Sven's going to get into it. And then you want to kind of call the Glimpse a pseudo form of initiation as well. It's going to be hard. You're just going to get pummeled over and over and over again. So you were so dependent on being able to get a good early start that allowed your ball to be able to just roll through all of these objectives. Once that was kind of broken apart, then you weren't really going to be able to find kills on the course. That's why, right? They didn't have a cohesive, like, 1-2 combo to be able to jump on a core and kill it.
I think the draft-wise, Optic had a good laning stage. Like, they forced their opponent into this, like, sort of weak offensive dual lane. They banned the really strong off-lane heroes, like Doom, Beastmaster, etc., and they forced them into this, like, Sky Sanking thing. And laning Visage against it was actually super smart, because with passive points, every time you get hit by an Arcane Bolt, it just reduces the damage massively. So if he can't, like, hit you a ton in a short period of time, the armor actually just counteracts the laning pressure that they have. And CCNC did better mid than no one did for the first, like, 8 minutes or so, got more last hits than him. And in the off lane, the Sven got super pressured as well. Remember, Solo had to plant a tree so that his shared tango could go farther. They won the laning stage. It's just like those first couple kills and mistakes that they made after it snowballed to this, like, uncontrollable advantage where then VP just moved around the map like 15 times better than Optic did.
Now, the thing is, CCNC said yesterday on an interview, he said that it's easy to see how Virtus Pro win games. They just stomp you in the first 10 minutes, they kill you in the lanes, and they end up 6k ahead. Well, that didn't necessarily happen quite as straightforward, but 15 minutes in and it's 10k, so it gets worse, right?
If there was one problem with the Optic draft that I think part of why it got away from them so quickly in the mid game. It was the damage type distribution. The relegation of Leshrac to the 4 role meant that aside from the Visage nuke and the DK nuke, their team was very, very heavy into physical damage, which is why I like the 5th pick Sven so much. Whereas the Skywrath Mage of Roger did work 25 minutes in. He was tied with the Death Prophet for the lead in hero damage with 11k apiece. They got those Mystic Flare combos, and the heroes, those tanky heroes of Optic, just melted.
And it goes to show, I think, that if you just overemphasize one part of your game against Virtus Pro, they're going to take advantage of a different part, right? If the static laning phase isn't going to go well, then they're going to beat you on movement. They're going to take advantage of the pros that they have, which was, I think, mostly was going to come down to movement and initiation. I think those were the two things that Optic was going to have the hardest problem dealing with. For Optic's pros, we're going to be laning phase and then I think objective taking, right? And they tried to do that. Unfortunately, it's just like taking the tier 1 and tier 2 like safe lane towers away from a team like VP. They understand they're not going to play the middle part of the map. They're not going to play the bottom part of the map. They're going to play in your jungle. Right? They're going to stay away from the wards that you lay, placing behind towers, thinking, oh, we're going to go for this objective push. We're going to place a ward behind that tower, and boom, we're controlling this area. When they come forward, we're going to own them. VP's not going to go in that area at all. They understand that they don't want to go into that ball. They want to force you to try and move to them first, and that forces the ball to eventually break up.
And the other part of that equation, of course, is then when they do rotate back, they have that catch from the Disruptor to pick off the PL when he's trying to escape from that tier 2 push.
I mean, they were close, though. If that first DK rotation where Pycat overdove, if that was successful, if they kill a hero there and that leads to the tier 1 tower dying, then they can just control the middle part of the map and the enemy jungle very easily. And then yes, Peter would be top and maybe getting dived a couple times and killed, but they would have so much more space on the map to farm. I feel like they would have been able to control the rotations better. But at that point, because they lost that push, it was the Leshrac support that wasn't 6, and it was a Rubik that wasn't 6 roaming around together. And they were sort of successful, but not super, because they just didn't have that much damage. So they didn't have this super successful rotation ability because of the cores that they had, unfortunately. But they just had to be safer in the rotations.
All right, we're going to see what happens in game 2. Of course, this is a best of 5. It has its own little meta going along as well. And we'll see here whether Optic Gaming can figure out how to take down Virtus Pro. They've come up with one game plan and it hasn't worked. Time for plan B, and that's coming up after the break.
Try for something. No one's got a full solo crest, so he's incredibly tanky on this DP. They will find indeed solo on the side. They are committing straight onto it, but the Roshan's already been taken down. Ramses gets the Aegis. Now the rest of VP coming. Pasha falls forward. Jones forward with the Blink Burrow strike. Gets 2 of them. On the side, Ancient Seal down onto BPD. That's the Rubik gone. VP, they're chasing down for more. They look towards 33. 33 surrounded. Will get the familiar stuns off, but the damage from Ramses is too much. Double kill for Roger. There's 2 dead on Optic. CCNC trying for the TP out. Will he make it? He won't. The stun's back online for Ramses.
I want to get in there.
Wow, I'm actually dead.
Are you dead? Yeah, I'm dead.
Never, dude!
Dude, look at that macro pyre, dude. Oh my god.